Alright guys, welcome back to Master and Apprentice, but new stream. New stream, yeah. Instead of Star Wars with the boys, we're back with handsome nerds with big nogs talking. So, it's a new era. We're moving past Star Wars. Star Wars is dead. Don't want to talk about it. Don't bring it up. Never want to see it again. Just go check out one of our 300 videos talking about it. So yeah, there's some news to talk about on all kinds of different spaces. Obviously, the biggest thing with Star Wars right now is both Andor Season 2 and then Kathleen Kennedy. We already kind of talked about Kathleen Kennedy in a video that will be coming out tomorrow, so if you guys want to check that out, go check that out. But other than that, Andor Season 2, the trailers, I don't know. Yeah. It's hard for me because I am super music oriented. Like, a project cannot be that great and have great music, and like I'll almost always give it a pass. Like the score of a film, the soundtrack, like it really matters to me personally. It can make and break a lot of things for me. You know, obviously the other stuff's important too, but just the sound, right? How it sounds is super important, and a soundtrack and a score, like I mentioned, is important. And Star Wars has some of the most beautiful music in all of its history. And so the fact that Andor Season 2's trailer, the music was like a punk rock song, it was a huge turnoff for me. The trailer itself looked fine, right? The trailer itself looked like a normal trailer. But I gotta say, the music almost takes me out of it every time I've watched it. And I've watched it multiple times. So, I don't know. There's not much to talk about it. It's just, I'm interested to see what other people think about it, because you look at the trailer and it looks pretty cool. You see the TIE Interceptor shooting up like a hangar bay. You see all the stormtroopers and like the different firefights. But then you see Mon Mothma dancing to some punk rock music, and you're like, what's going on? Like, it's kind of hard for me. It seems just like whoever made it was just like not in tune with the feel and aura of Star Wars. They're like, they know what Star Wars is, but like, this is my Star Wars, or we got Star Wars at home, don't worry, or Star Wars off Team. Like, they just didn't realize what they were doing, right? I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly felt more like a Marvel trailer than anything else, which isn't really bad per se, but it's just not Star Wars, as Sammy said. I mean, you want Marvel, you got DC, and they're very similar, and there's a lot of things about them that you can go watch, but Star Wars has...
What to you makes Star Wars different than, Marvel, or DC, or Lord of the Rings, or Star Trek is a really good comparison?
I think that Star Wars has a really good storyline, a lot of independent characters, and then...
Independent characters?
Sorry, not independent characters. A lot of character development specifically. You're going to look at one character and follow them a long time, whereas I think Marvel is centered around action a lot more.
Really?
And then also...
So what would you say about Bucky's character arc, or Loki's character arc?
Well,
what would you say about... I mean, you haven't seen Star Trek. What would you say about Lord of the Rings or DC? Like, they all have character developments.
Yeah, they have those too. I just feel like Star Wars takes focus around one... Takes focus really around the person more than the event a lot of times.
Does it?
That's my feel.
Yeah, that's not really a difference. That's how almost every movie and show is. Marvel recently hasn't been doing that, but of the past, why was Captain America so beloved, right? It was all the little things. It was the lines that on your left, or I can do this all day, right? The character development from literally the 1940s until Endgame. That's huge character development over 10, 15 years. That's why those movies were set up for success. Same thing with Iron Man, right? From a playboy millionaire, right, to a superhero who sacrifices himself. The character arc in there is huge, right? DC is not really... It's kind of a failure, so you can't really compare anything. Lord of the Rings is based on one huge event, but there's lots of character development with Frodo, with Sam. Like, there's lots and lots of character development with those. Star Trek, I'm not crazy familiar. I've only seen a couple of the new ones. But those are lots and lots of character development as well. It's not necessarily the characters and their stories are super unique, right? guy falls to the dark side, redeems himself. Like, that's in itself not that crazy of a story arc, right? What's different with Star Wars that makes, different with all of them is the feel, right? You don't get the same serenity, the same aura that you would get in a space movie like Star Trek, right? It's completely different. Something that separates them hugely. It's not the CGI, it's not the characters, because a lot of the characters even look similar in some situations, right? It's not even the story, right? A lot of people prefer Star Trek over Star Wars. But the biggest difference you can make is the music, the aura, the feeling, right? Star Trek's story and the character developments they try to make are very different than Star Wars. Star Wars is very family driven, hope driven, and it comes from the music, it comes from just the plot in general, sure, but it comes from a lot from that feeling, right? And you can connect to it, right? That's why Star Wars is so successful, is because a lot of people can connect to the feeling of hope, right? And the feeling of family and trying to redeem yourself, right? Loyalty, those kind of things. It's not necessarily, oh, it has a great character arc. I mean, any great movie or show has those things, right? The things that stand out from one another, right, is usually only one or two things. Star Wars, from all of these other big pop culture nerdy things, is, in my opinion, one of its biggest things is its message and its sound, its aura, right? The feeling it makes you feel. I can watch Star Wars and I can watch Marvel, and I will enjoy both very, very much. But when it gets super emotional, I feel something different than I do in Star Wars than I do in Marvel. Even though I enjoy both, and it gets me in a very emotional state in both, and they both have great music, they both have great character development, they both have great story arcs, the feeling is different than one and the other, right? So when you take something away like the music, I feel like it drives away some of that aura, some of that feeling that you have, right? And yeah, you do need to change things up every once in a while. Right? You can't have John Williams' opening soundtrack for Star Wars in every trailer, in every show, in every movie, right? You'd overdo it. But there's plenty of hits in all of the trilogies, in both the prequels, original trilogy, and sequels. The sequels even have some great music, in my opinion, right? The Kylo Ren theme song, I think, is really good. The Kylo Ren and Rey theme song is really good. I like the Resistance theme song, right? Han and Leia's theme song, Anakin and Padme's theme song. Obviously, the battle in the Geonosian Arena's theme song is really great. Like, all of these different soundtracks, you can't not mention Phantom Menace's Duel of the Fates, right? That one's super iconic, right? Like, it has that certain feeling and aura, right? And the music is obviously different from one another, but they all kind of give similar feelings. And I just gotta say, I don't think punk rock is gonna give anybody any sort of feeling that's similar to any Star Wars, right? It's not necessarily that we're missing all the CGI. It's not that we're missing all of these special effects and all of these aliens and all of the... Not necessarily, right? I mean, Andor looked really good its first season. The episode when they're breaking into and having that heist, I don't even remember that story that much, but I just remember the heist part when they're breaking out and it's like the Northern Lights essentially, but on like a big scale. It's super beautiful, right? The couple aliens that we see in some of the other shows like Acolyte and all that stuff, it's pretty good, right? Some of the cinematography and some of the fights, some of them are really good. Some of them suck, sure, but some of them are really good. I would argue the character development for Kenobi and Kenobi, the show, is really, really good, right? Same thing with Vader. Reva and Leia they're junk, right? Their characters are almost irrelevant to the story. It seems like they're just plopped in there. But Kenobi himself, I thought, did really good in that, and I felt like he was very grounded in that show, and you could really feel the revenge and hatred for Anakin, and that's great character development. But that's not why that show failed, right? It's because it was missing the feeling and the aura, because they had to pop something in there that wasn't needed, right? By popping in this sound of this song, I feel like it just takes you out of the feelings that you should be feeling when you watch something Star Wars, right? That's my main problem with it, right? It's not like you can't try new things with Star Wars, but you've got to still do it within a parameter, right? That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, that song definitely just I heard it, and it really felt just like Iron Man, like one Iron Man 1 and 2, which, again, those movies had good soundtracks, but it was very different than any other Star Wars at all.
Moving to Marvel, there's not a whole lot. Obviously, we have Daredevil coming out next week. I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. But there's a lot of hype following that. I didn't even finish the Netflix show. I watched the first season, second season. I never finished the third season because, man, that show can be pretty rough and dark sometimes. And when I was watching, I was living with my parents at the time, and they were just like, "You can't watch it." So I'm definitely gonna finish it. I think I'm literally only missing like 4 or 6 episodes. Like I was halfway through the last season 3. I think it's season. I don't know. I remember. Maybe I'm misremembering. It's been a couple years. But point is, I've watched like the first season. I liked the first season enough. So, and most people liked that show too. Like a lot of Marvel fans at the time. Like I didn't really hear a lot of people talking bad about it. Oh, and people were like, "It's a little too dark for my kids to watch. We're not gonna watch that." But that was it, right? People who were able to watch it and wanted to watch it, everyone liked it. And this seems like this is going in the same trajectory. So I'm very excited to see, if it's a disappointment, if everyone's excited for it and it bombs. I don't expect that at all. What I'm more excited to see is how well this does, because Disney Plus really hasn't had a lot of success when it comes to putting out projects, right? Mandalorian and Loki are it's like one or two of its successes, and even those aren't like crazy big, right? Like there's shows that are much bigger, right? A show that I don't really enjoy, but The Boys is a huge show, right? And it outscales any of Disney Plus's shows, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see if this show can scale up to that, because this is like one of the few shows I think that could. It's just gonna be, how well is the word of mouth and how bad is, comic book movie. What's the word I'm looking for? Comic book movie
accuracy?
No. People are tired of just comic book movies in general right now, right? People are ready to just be angry and not like it, right? You saw that with Captain America. So we're going to see if that really plays an effect to this, right? If people are just not willing to give it a fair shot or not. I don't think it will, but I am interested to see, because I think that's a big deal. So there's that. That's coming out, like I said, this coming week, Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe. Thunderbolts, some of the first looks. So, like, we haven't seen anything besides the trailers, but they've had some, like some critics and people who usually have the first looks of these movies and kind of give out, first look impressions are good so far. So that's good, right? We thought the same thing for Captain America, right? But that was a whole windy road of it's not bad, it's bad, it's not great, it's bad. Like it was all over the place, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see how Thunderbolts turns out. As we're like 2.5 months away now, 2 months away from when it comes out. So it'll be interesting to see as it gets closer, like how the hype builds for it. Because I think Thunderbolts is gonna be great. I'm super primed for it, but I'm not gonna be, I'm not gonna be so stubborn and just so stuck in my own place to not realize like they're side characters, right? Like these are like B-list, C-list characters. Like it's gonna be interesting to see how excited people get for this, right? Marvel's got to do a really good job marketing, in my opinion, if they want some success out of this, because word of mouth can only do so much, and I think it will do good. But like if you're trying to get a big opening weekend box office, you gotta have some good marketing. So I'm interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that'll get the diehard Marvel fans to really want to watch this is Sentry. I hope.
That's not the problem. Diehard fans are gonna watch this anyway. Diehard fans always watch it.
That's true.
It's the soccer moms with the minivans with their kids, right? They didn't want to watch Captain America, and that shows. But they wanted to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because they liked the first one and the second one, right? So, are we gonna get like another Captain America, or are we gonna get like a Guardians of the Galaxy 3? That's the thing. Because sometimes if Marvel does a good enough job with these kind of B-list characters, C-list characters, people come out. but sometimes if the word of mouth's not that great, people don't even bother, right? Venom, people bothered with at least, right? Captain America Brave New World, people didn't bother with. So it's going to be interesting to see if people even bother with this one or not. I hope they do. I think it's going to be great. I almost think this can't fail, right? Like, just from what I've seen in the trailers, the rumors I've heard, the scoops I've heard, I just think this is primed for success. Not only because it has one of my favorite Marvel heroes. I mean, Sentry is quite literally like top 3 one of my favorite characters. I think the story is set up for success. So, I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I don't know if there's really much else to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really it for Marvel and Star Wars. Last thing is Invincible. Invincible Season 3, Episode 6 just dropped this morning, last night, whatever. And I thought Episode 6 was okay. I thought it was kind of a filler one. I knew we were going to get Powerplex. Aaron Paul, Jesse from Breaking Bad is the voice actor, because they kind of promoted it. They're like, we've got this guy, he's going to be in our show. And then all week, they were putting pictures of the Powerplex out, and I was like, oh, okay. So this is going to be a special episode, kind of like Angstrom Levy's episodes in Season 2, right? Like those kind of like, it will have importance down the line maybe. They're just setting him up right now in this episode. And that's kind of what that was, this episode. But the end credit scene, I don't even know. The end of the show. For any of you guys who know the story of Invincible, like the comics, Volume 3 is pretty much all about Invincible War, right? And I'm not going to spoil it too much, but you see at the end, you see a bunch of Invincible Smart Graysons all kind of gathered up with Angstrom Levy. And like I said, if you're a fan of Invincible comics, you know how crazy it's about to get. The story arc of the Invincible War is absolute nuts. But in my opinion, what I think makes it even crazier is what it leads into literally immediately after, right? The appearance and then what it sets up immediately after, I think is even crazier, right? Because Invincible War itself is big. It's a big deal. But it's like no sleep, no rest in between the next big part. And I think that's what's going to end Season 3. I think Season 3 is going to end crazy big. And I'm almost disappointed because I can already imagine what Season 3 is going to end like. And it makes me upset because it's going to be crazy. But it's also like, it's kind of like a good cliffhanger. Like, we already know we're getting like 8 seasons of Invincible. So like, and they're already working on Season 4. But I just don't want to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the problem that I have whenever episodes drop one episode a week and then one a year. A season a year is pretty quick for a project in comparison to like Star Wars or Marvel. But I don't know. I wasn't the hugest fan of the episode until the post-credit scene. Not because it was a bad episode, because I just keep getting hyped up for Alan, and I think he's one of my favorite characters. He's probably one of my favorite characters, if not number one favorite character. And we didn't get any of him in this episode, so I was kind of disappointed a little bit. But that post-credit scene, it's about to get real. I'm excited for the next couple episodes, and then if we're getting 7-8 seasons, I don't know. This seems very expansive, which is quite obvious. But there's so much they can do. I'm stoked, honestly.
Yeah, so that's really it. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. If you guys are excited, getting hyped for it. One other thing I forgot to mention, but I kind of remembered looking at the trades. They kind of announced, like on the red carpet, Punisher's not necessarily getting another season, but he is getting like a holiday special, right? So like if you guys see the Guardians of the Galaxy specials around the holiday, sometimes they're like a short film, sometimes it's like a couple little episodes, right? We're going to get something like that for Freaking Castle, The Punisher, with John Berthel returning, which I love, because I love John. He's like literally one of my favorite actors. He hasn't been in a lot of like top tier things, but all the things he's been in, I've absolutely adored. So I'm super excited for that. And The Punisher is just like literally one of the craziest Marvel comic characters there ever is. And they've done a really good job with adapting him into the show. We haven't gotten a lot of him in the new Disney era. In fact, we're going to get our first taste in the Disney era in Daredevil. So I'm really excited to see what we get and what we can expect going forward with the character as well. But yeah, that's really it this week. Not much else to talk about. Anything else, Ethan?
That's it for me.
yeah, if you guys hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, new streaming era. We're no longer Star Wars with the boys. We're just kind of breaking it open with all kinds of news, nerdy news. Mostly Star Wars and Marvel. But while Invincible is up, talk about Invincible. When Avatar comes back, we talk about Avatar. When Legos got big news, talk about Lego stuff. I just don't want to close it off to Star Wars anymore because it's just not my only interest anymore, and it wasn't really before, but I just want to open it up to talk about other things. So change the name, Handsome Nerds, Big Nogs, Talkin. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. If you guys are listening on podcast, we appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that download and follow. And with that, we'll be back again here next week around the same time, 6 p.m. ish, and we'll see you guys then.
Peace.